Hi guys, this is your Joe. Welcome to my channel Blah Blah with Joe. Guys, so how many of you like mythology? I know I like it. Because growing up, I've heard a lot of stories, the Bible stories, Mahabharata, Ramayana. Of all the stories that I've heard, right? Mahabharata is my personal favorite. Because Mahabharata is a big story comprising of various small stories. The main part of the Mahabharata story is the Kurukshetra war. The Kurukshetra war is a culmination of various incidents that happened in the process. So a lot of probabilities led to this incident. So in other words, if something had not happened, maybe the Kurukshetra war might not have happened and the story of Mahabharata would not have been what it is today. For example, if Pandavas had not lost in the game of dice, or if Duryodhana had given back half of the kingdom to the Pandavas, or any other probability that might have happened the way it should not have happened. So one such probability is what I want to talk with you today in this video. So Mahabharata has had various interpretations and various versions coming out, okay, of many stories that I've heard. And there's one peculiar story that I'm going to share with you guys today. It's the story of an underlying love relationship that was there between Karna and Draupadi. Shocked. Yeah, even I was shocked when I heard it. But it was such a lovely reading after I had it. And that is what I wanted to share with you guys today. Okay, the story starts off with Draupadi's swayamvara invitation. In those days, when a princess comes of marriageable age, if she has not already been promised to someone else, so what happens is a swayamvara is kept for her. Swayamvara is a process where a bride chooses her bridegroom from a group of suitors. So like that, her swayamvara invitation was sent to all the kings in the various kingdoms. So King Karna also was one of those kings who received the invitation. Now King Karna was the king of the Anga kingdom, which is part of the present Bihar today. Okay. And King Karna, on receiving the invitation, it also had an information that there's going to be an archery competition, and whoever wins the competition will get the princess. And along with that, there was a painting of the princess. See, today we have photos and other things from which we can see the person. In those days, it was painting. So Karna, on seeing the painting itself, he fell in love with Draupadi. Okay, scene jump. Parallelly, what was happening in the kingdom of Panchal, which is Draupadi's kingdom, Draupadi was very confused actually because she knew her swayamvara was coming and she didn't know who to marry. That's when her friend Krishna comes along paying a visit. So he asks her, why are you confused? So she tells him, I don't know who to marry. So Krishna asks Draupadi, okay, what kind of a man do you want? To which Draupadi says, I want someone who is skilled in archery, who is a good warrior, who is good of heart, who will love me passionately, and many other traits like that. On hearing all these demands, Krishna just chuckled and said, okay, there's only one man in this whole land who can satisfy all those requirements. Draupadi was elated and she was so curious to know who this man is. That's when Krishna says, it's Karna. And on hearing about Karna, Draupadi is very much happy and her confusion is all over and she knows that this is the guy who she wants to marry. But Draupadi's happiness is short-lived because Krishna tells Draupadi that she cannot take Karna to be her husband. Not only that, she needs to insult Karna about his low caste so that he doesn't participate in the swayamvara. Now, why Krishna does this is because he knows the truth that Karna is a better archer than Arjuna, and if he participates in this swayamvara, he will definitely win the princess. Now, this will disrupt the flow of things and it will not let Mahabharata end in the way it is supposed to end. So this is the case of probabilities that I was talking about at the start of the video, because Krishna knew the possible outcomes of every situation. Now Draupadi was heartbroken because on hearing about Karna, she envisioned him to be the perfect man and could not see anyone else in his place. But she was also a devoted friend of Krishna, and she knew she couldn't go against him. And so she decided to do what Krishna asked her to do. Now that's two people who are in love with each other even without having seen each other. That's the situation. Next scene is the scene of the swayamvara. All the kings have started to come to the kingdom of Panchal. As each king enters the palace, their names have been announced by the court announcer. Draupadi is sitting in her quarters and from where she is sitting, she can see all her suitors coming in. But she is waiting for that particular name to be announced. Because only from her quarters can she see Karna with the love in her eyes. Because when she meets him in person, she needs to have the disgust in her eyes in order to make sure that he doesn't participate in the swayamvara. The court announcer announces the entry of King Karna of Anga kingdom. As soon as this name is called out, Draupadi looks out from her quarters and she sees Karna. She is mesmerized with what she sees because Karna is the epitome of the perfect man. As while she seems mesmerized, she forgets the plan that she's supposed to carry forward. Realizing this, Krishna actually cautions Draupadi to stick to the plan. With a heavy heart, Draupadi walks into the court where all her suitors are seated. On seeing Draupadi, Karna is really, he understands that the painting that was sent to him does not do justice to her actual beauty. And he's already fallen in love with her head over heels for her. But Draupadi comes into the court and calls out Karna and insults him for him being of a low caste, and asks him how does he think that he could be equal to all the Kshatriya kings when he's from a Shudra caste. Now, in the past, a lot of people have called Karna this, and whenever he's been called that, he has always been enraged. But this time, he felt shattered. He felt a lot of pain because the person who called him that was someone who he really loved and someone who he intended to marry. But then, even without saying a word, without protesting anything, he just walks away from the court. And Draupadi also walks back to her assigned seat. She has all that pain in her heart, but she doesn't show that on her face. The reason why I played this scene, this movie is actually loosely based on Karna's life. Rajinikanth's character Surya, which actually is Karna's father's name is Surya. So his character is based on Karna, and Shobna's character is based on Draupadi. In fact, Shobna, after breaking this particular scene, their love breaks off and they go their own ways, and Shobna marries Arun Swami, whose character's name is Arjun. Okay, you see the similarity? Yeah. The next scene, what we see is that Draupadi is married to all the 5 Pandavas, of which some of them are already married and some of the others married her only out of obligation. Now, here's a woman who's left a guy who truly loved her and married 5 other men who already have other love interests. Okay, the story goes on like that. The next scene is where in Hastinapura court, the Pandavas and Kauravas are engaged in a game of dice. Okay, and see, the dice game that they play is an ancient version of today's Ludo game. See, the game is played predominantly between the Pandavas and Kauravas, but otherwise there are certain other characters also present in the court. There you have Dhritarashtra, who is the father of the Kauravas, you have Bhishma Pitha, you have Vidura, you have Karnan, and many other characters also present in the court. Alright? Okay, as the story goes, Pandava lose their wealth, their kingdom, and also Draupadi in the process of the game. Now, Karna does not like the fact that Pandavas played out Draupadi as part of the game because she's still the woman who he was in love with. Now, Duryodhan, after winning all these things, demands that Draupadi be brought into the court. Now, all this while, Draupadi is not there and she's not aware of what's been happening in the court. When Draupadi comes to the court, she hears what happened and she feels so enraged because the Pandavas played her off like some piece of material value. She is so enraged. The Kauravas try to disrobe her and humiliate her just to humiliate the Pandavas. So the Kauravas, they try to pull her sari, pallu and all those things. Meanwhile, Draupadi holds on to her sari and she's also begging the court elders to deliver justice because it's not right what's happening. So she asks Dhritarashtra, the father of Kauravas, Bhishma Pitha, Vidura and all the elders, and saying that Dharma has to be uplifted over here. But all the elders, they just hang their head in shame. Next, it's Karna who she goes to, and Karna is in a state where he's already has one of his hand on his scabbard, ready to draw his sword and kill the Kauravas if Draupadi asks him for his help. But Draupadi just comes in front of him. Till that point, Draupadi is all enraged and anger. But when she comes and stands in front of Karna, and there's a change of emotion. Tears start rolling down her eyes, and she wants to say something to Karna, but the words don't come out. It's just choked up. There are sometimes moments in life where a man feels that if only he could read a woman's mind. Because Karna was not able to figure out what Draupadi was trying to tell him. And Draupadi was waiting there for him, and yet he didn't act upon the situation and she just moves away. Okay, now there are 2 perspectives to this particular situation. Draupadi is related to almost everyone in that court through some way or the other, but Karna is the only person who she is not related to in any way. Her relation to him is through the only love that she has for him, okay? But she cannot exhibit that publicly. So she wanted him to act upon the situation even without her asking him to do it, but yet he doesn't understand it. So with that pain, she moves on. Whereas Karna, the way he sees it, so he feels that okay, Draupadi did not ask me for my help because she still thinks me of someone of a lowly stature, and that's why. So that's how it was. Okay. By this point, the Kauravas are ready to sexually assault Draupadi, and that's when Karna calls Draupadi a courtesan, or in other words, a prostitute. In those days, a woman who's married to more than 2 or 3 men is normally called a prostitute, and whereas here, Draupadi was married to 5 men. So when Karna calls that, the Kauravas come to their senses and stop making any sexual advances. But Draupadi, on hearing this, feels a lot of pain that the man who she loves called him something that something that he shouldn't have called her. Again, here there are two perspectives. The reason why Karna called her that was because he knew as soon as he calls her that, the Kauravas would stop making any sexual advances towards her, and in order to save her, that's why he called her. Whereas the way Draupadi saw it was that even Karna is just like any other man, and that's how she saw it. Because you see, the love was there between the two characters, but yet both of them did not realize it. The next scene where this love is exhibited is where the Pandavas are serving their Vanavasa in the forest. Okay, they come across this tree which seems like a special tree with a fruit. So all of them over there consume the fruit of the tree. As soon as they have consumed the fruit, they realize that it's the tree of truth. That tree is the tree of truth. So as long as the fruit is there in their body, they can only say the truth. So all the Pandavas and Draupadi had the fruit. So the Pandavas start telling out their own truths. And when it's Draupadi's turn, the truth that she says is, she has only loved one man in her whole life, and that is Karnan. Because Karnan was the only guy who loved her wholeheartedly. Whereas all the other Pandavas, they had other wives and other love interests and did not love her for the person she was. Whereas Karna was the only person who did that for her. So that's the truth that she utters over there. Okay, after moving on, the next scene is the battlefield scene where Karna is dead, and all the Pandava brothers are crying for him on realizing that he is their elder brother. Mother Kunti is crying for her son. Duryodhana is crying that he has lost his best friend. But more than these characters, it's Draupadi's cry that is heard the loudest, because she has lost the person who's loved her the most. Okay, he was the only person who loved her the most. So her pain is the biggest of them all. And while crying, she just looks back at Krishna, who's standing there, who's smiling. Krishna knows that everyone will blame him for all these faults, but Krishna knows very well that the flow of events need to happen in this way in order for Mahabharata to end the way it has to end. Okay, so this is the love story between Karna and Draupadi that I wanted to tell you guys today. I hope you enjoyed this version of Mahabharata. And until next time I come up with some beautiful story like this is Joe signing off from Blah Blah with Joe.